Napoleon was born on the 15th of August 1769 on the island of Corsica. Corsica used to belong to the Italian state of Genoa, but it was handed over to France a mere year before Napoleon's birth. Anyways, Napoleon's parents were part of the minor nobility, so they were able to send him to the College d'Etudes, where he would learn French. In 1779, Napoleon was admitted to a military school in. After 5 years of this, he went to a Parisian military school, which he would graduate from in 1789. This education would lead him to become one of the greatest generals in history. He would return to Corsica the following year, but he would be accused of being too pro-French and unsupportive of Corsica's independence. So, in 1793, he packed his bags and moved to mainland France. This is where he changed his name from the Italian Bonaparte to Bonaparte, the French spelling. He would join a military unit in Nice and throw his political support behind the Jacobins, the current party in charge of the French government. Although they were popular and progressive, the Jacobins would turn into a murdering machine, killing over 17,000 French citizens during their rule. During this time, the young Napoleon would rise through the military ranks, eventually becoming commander of the Army of the Interior. While Napoleon was busy becoming commander, the Jacobins' government was overthrown and replaced with the Directory. They were the ones that appointed Napoleon to his military positions. He would go on to win nearly every battle he fought during this time, and he became very popular throughout France. But Napoleon had a problem. What ranks can you rise after you're already controlling the entire army? Well, the answer was to take over the country. So, Napoleon and his co-conspirators planned a coup set for November 9th, 1799. Or, in the Republican calendar, Premiere 18th. On this day, he and his accomplices started the coup over a period of 2 days, and he became the first consul of the Republic, with near unlimited power. After all, there is a rumor that the Jacobins were taking over the government again, and Napoleon gave a speech where he would defend the Republic. So of course the Directory would give power to Napoleon. It was better to have a dictator on their side than to have the Jacobins again. During his time as first consul and later emperor, Napoleon implemented a lot of reforms. One of these was the revival of the Catholic Church. During the French Revolution, the country was, quote, de-Christianized, which caused a lot of anger among French Catholics. Napoleon decided to ditch the revolutionary calendar for the Gregorian calendar, and he allowed Catholics to worship freely again. But by far, one of his greatest reforms was the Napoleonic Code, which was a code of civil, commercial, and criminal law which replaced the complex law books before. Not only did it simplify and standardize all of French law, it also added some new revolutionary ideas too, like equality under the law and freedom of belief. The code would transform the countries that France would later conquer. Finally, he also made some economic reforms, by creating the Bank of France, reorganizing the tax collection system, and introducing the franc de Germain, which was a golden franc coin. This helped the French economy stabilize after the French Revolution. But despite all of his reforms, he also made some anti-reforms too, pushing back the revolution's earlier progress. He banned all political parties while he was consul, and also placed restrictions on free speech. The number of newspapers in Paris went from 70 before his coup to 4, which is ironically the same number that existed before 1789. The Napoleonic Code he was famous for gave women less freedom than they did during the Revolution, saying they were subservient to their husbands. So, despite enacting many reforms, Napoleon also backtracked on or even removed outright some rights from the Revolution. As mentioned earlier, Napoleon also had a military career. Soon after he declared himself emperor, the nations of Great Britain, Austria, Russia, Naples, and Sweden formed a coalition against him. But Napoleon's tactics would allow him to beat the coalition at the Battle of Austerlitz. His new French Empire would seem unstoppable until the disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812. But do these battles have anything to do with the modern world? Well, not only did they lead to the increase in army sizes across Europe, but during the Napoleonic Wars, the Holy Roman Empire was officially dissolved, after over 1,000 years of existence. So, what led to Napoleon's downfall? Why isn't there a French Empire today? Well, it all started when Russia started trading with Britain, which broke the treaty with France. So, France, as mentioned earlier, invaded Russia in the winter. This was a huge mistake, costing the French army so many lives and resources. So, Napoleon got badly beat for the first time. He abdicated 2 years later in 1814 and was exiled to the Italian island of Elba. This led to the failure of the French Revolution, because the old monarchy was reinstated, which meant that nothing had changed. So after all of this pain, suffering, and change, what impact did this even have on the world? Well, the nationalist ideas of the revolution would eventually spread and lead to more nation-states popping up throughout Europe, breaking apart large multicultural empires. The dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire also led to a power vacuum in Central Europe, which would eventually be filled by Prussia over 50 years later. The Napoleonic Code also formed the basis for most legal systems currently found in Europe, and the large army sizes and tactics employed by Napoleon are still occasionally used today. Without the French Revolution, Europe would certainly look a lot different.